Hello everyone, welcome back. It's been a little bit since my last post, um, and I wanted to share the latest on my little practice board. That being, the roads are close to finished, I think. I've been adding the markings, as you can see here, on the road surface. And what I'm using for the yellow and white lines, this section here is acrylic paint. I covered it in a previous video. Tamiya color, XF2 for the white and XF3 for the yellow, mixed with a little bit of X6, excuse me, to tone the yellow down a little bit. Try to get a more realistic paint color. And what I did for the railroad crossing, I cut out the X and did a very, almost, I won't say dry brush, but using a little cosmetic sponge, just very lightly added the white acrylic paint for that. And then I hand painted the two R's. So you can get up a little closer here. I'm also using the dimensions for the markings from Washington State Civil Engineering standards for marking, at least for Washington roadways. They vary from city to city and such here, but of course that's normal. Over here, I used, instead of the acrylic paint, I used a couple of colored pencils. And I wanted to try. Here I am making a bunch of noise, making a mess. I used this yellow Faber-Castell colored pencil for the yellow lines, obviously, and then this white Faber-Castell. I have another set of colored pencils I've used for my illustrating and fine art, but I've misplaced those. So I picked up those. Anyway, these lines were with the colored pencils, as are these white and yellow lines here, although this cross and those stop line and the fog line there are both acrylic, the acrylic paint. This fog line on the side is colored pencil. I was just wanting to see how well they do. If I like using, which one I like better. And I kind of think I'm favoring the acrylic paints like I did here, but the colored pencil is quicker, easier to put down. Still looks reasonably decent, although because of the waxy substance in the I can't think of what I'm trying to say here. The binding agent in the colored pencil, it lays down differently than the acrylic paint. But still, if this is all I had to use in my final layout, then that's perfectly fine with me. I did add a little bit more detail on the pavement itself here and over here. Part of this side here was to cover up an oopsie from a previous attempt with acrylic paint to paint a fog line, but I decided, you know what, looks kind of like a road near where I live, so I'm going to just, even though I was initially to cover up the oopsie, I decided I'm going to make this even more heavily weathered right there. So next you'll see the white terrain scenery material that I'm using. This is specifically Celluclay. I've used Sculptamold in the past. I do not have any at the moment. And there's also Fast Mash, I believe it's called, from that, and Celluclay. Well, the Celluclay that I'm using is from Activa, and the Fast Mash I've seen is also from Activa. The Sculptamold is its own brand. And this is currently drying. If you can see it in the video, I'm not sure, but the edges of the Celluclay are essentially dry, or nearly dry. When this dries, it'll be white, but just in from the edges around each section, it's still damp, and I'm going to give it another couple of days probably to fully cure. And then I'll be painting that a generic earth tone before adding more of the what is this? Pigment material from Arizona Rock and Mineral. And then, before I forget, these are, I haven't finished, I have to paint the pipes still, but these are the concrete again, my brain is stopping. Culverts. The culverts. These are just balsa wood. I sprayed with Varathane to seal them up, and then just painted with Vallejo paint I've used for the road surface. Give it a concrete treat. I still need to paint the pipes and add some weathering effects, like rust and such. A little bit of that on the face of each, but they will go one there, one there. And I'm going to start adding some grass and weeds and such to this section here. I'm not going to add any of the Celluclay to that, but I will be using, I went ahead and bought a few things from Soflor website. I've got this I'm going to use, and then this. And hopefully you can read the labels to see what they are. And then I've got this one. And then finally there is this from Martin Welberg. And this is what I'll be using bits and pieces of, well, to go over all of it. But for now, since that is dry and doesn't need any sculpting in there, I'm going to be using, or starting my weeds and grasses in there. I'm still planning on this section being essentially just basic bushy tree, small trees, bushes, weeds and such in that little square. And this will mostly be a mix of grasses and weeds along the drainage ditch. You might notice that the Celluclay is a bit lumpy. I've never used the stuff, and it's been too long since I used Sculptamold, so I'm not sure if it should be smoother than that or what, but I have seen, I think it was in Boomer Diorama, he used Fast Mash, but some of what I saw after he had put some down, it looked like this too, so I guess this might be normal. But once it's painted and covered with soil and grass, it won't matter. And let's see, that's basically it for this update. I apologize, there's not much else happening besides this practice board. I'm still working on getting the space available for the actual layout, which again is going to be up there along that wall under the window, and then on that over here there'll be an opening going into this closet where the staging area and workbench will be. But as you can see, it's still a bit of a mess. There's still a bunch of things that I need to move out that I'm having, well, it's just having trouble getting it out, and long story about that, but that's where the layout will go. And for now, this is all I have, but it's a learning space. And I'm sorry, for some, this might be, I don't know, you want to see more. Maybe it's a little boring, or who knows. I just hope that you see and enjoy what I'm doing as someone who's well, this is the first time I've done anything. This is as far as I've gotten with the hobby. And I'm planning on finishing the layout. It might take me a couple years, might be a year, I don't know, year and a half, who knows. But this is a journey, and I hope you enjoy traveling along this journey with me. If you have any comments and suggestions and helpful advice, I'm always open to such things and appreciate what you have to say. And thank you. Have a great day.